Welcome back. You're watching Startup Street. Now, edtech unicorn Eruditus is mulling a shift in domicile from Singapore to India as it evaluates a listing on the domestic bourses. My colleague Aishwarya Anand caught up with the co-founder Chaitanya Kalipatnapu to get more details on the firm's decision to reverse flip and more. Take a look.
Chaitanya, Eruditus is now joining the queue of reverse flips made by Indian startups. You're planning to shift your domicile from Singapore to India for an IPO. So I just want to understand what's going behind the scenes, what are the plans there, and how soon can we expect you to go for a listing?
Look, we as a company, I think we did over 3,200 crores last year, and this year we will cross 4,200 crores, but being profitable, right? As we look forward, I think like a responsible company catering to the stakeholders and the shareholders, we are looking at various options. So there's nothing that's finalized or fixed or planned, etc. So it's just we are exploring what are the various options.
You're planning to acquire 5 companies this year or going forward. So I just want to understand what are these businesses that you're looking at and how will they be adding to your growth?
Actually, the last 3 months, that's October to December, is a quarter where we have clocked over 4% EBITDA. Okay, and our core business per se, it's going to be profitable, going forward. So we'll end the fiscal with close to 6% EBITDA. So as such, there is a lot of growth that we believe and we see in our core business, right? And when we look at, for us, the strategy for an M&A merger or an acquisition is that can there be a business or a line of business which can complement whatever we are doing. So in that sense, we are not looking at something just to add revenue, right? So for us, the bar is very, very high. In that context, yeah, we, as part of our growth plans, we are looking at multiple options. I think both inbound as well as outbound.
Talking about numbers, of course, you've clocked like a 70% surge in your revenues, and to be very honest, that's quite a change of pace with what we've been seeing in the startup in the edtech ecosystem, especially. So, tell me, how has Eruditus managed to escape the evisceration that we're seeing for the edtech startups, and what are the numbers that you're targeting for the end of this year?
Yeah. So for us, if we just take a step back and look at our model, right? So what our thesis is that there is a huge need for upskilling and reskilling at a global scale, not just restricted to India. What has acted as a momentum or a driver for growth is in terms of, one, our global footprint that we have. And globally, US for us is over 40% in terms of enrollments. India is 25%. The rest of the world is 33+%. So for us, the growth is more about how do we create more programs as well as get more learners to come in and take our courses. And that's what has worked. If you look at the growth, and even going forward, as I was mentioning, we are next from the last fiscal 23 to 24, we do a July to June in terms of our fiscal. We are looking at a 25 to 30% growth, but growing profitably.
Okay, so while we're talking about how you're planning to scale the business further, I want to understand from you that do you plan on raising capital? I mean, can we expect you to raise capital this year, or are you in talks? Is there any plan on that front?
So I think for us, as I was mentioning earlier, the core business is very strong and it is generating profit. So it's not that we are in the immediate need of raising any capital. But in the process, as with some of our shareholders, maybe they would have in terms of providing them secondary, etc. There are some conversations, but nothing for our business operations.
I mean, though this is completely you're operating in a different league altogether, but I have to ask you, because you're one of the major players in the edtech ecosystem, and with the crisis that's unfolded at BYJUs, I just want to understand from you that how do you see it impacting the Indian edtech landscape?
Every sector has challenges, with players, with the ecosystem, or with the rules of engagement per se. But I think the way we look at it is that education as a sector, I think it has a lot of very big addressable market, and at the same time, what we believe in especially with our mission of high quality education, we are confident that the growth that is possible, and if you're able to execute on that, I don't think we should see any issues there. So
what should be some of the key top learnings for the startups in this space?
So I would just say that one, focusing on the pain point. Second, I think doing it responsibly, right, in a very transparent manner.
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of Startup Street. More news and updates coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.